Hello, I'm going to review Thor Ragnarok. This is like my 20th take. I keep getting nervous, I think, when I record these things. I may as well say, I've been editing some other videos and I just find I keep saying certain things. I'll say, but yeah, I'll say, most of the ums I edit out. There's a few things. I keep adjusting my shirt and I keep, you know, wiping my nose. I just can't help it. I don't know if they're nervous tics or anyway, this movie, I really enjoyed it. Its rating is like 8.2 on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, in case you're not familiar with that particular website, which is very high for a superhero movie. Yeah, I thought it was very good, very funny. My brother kind of pointed out, because he had seen it already, but he rewatched it with me. He said that he thought the comedy was kind of obvious, but it was confident and it was done well. And I agree with that. I think that's a good way to put it. So maybe I've seen the first Thor. I haven't seen Thor 2, and I've seen most of the movies in the Marvel Universe, but not all of them. Maybe I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's, other than that, pretty much all the rest I've seen. But one of the things that stands out is the color, how colorful this movie is. It's got a lot of, there's a place, I'm kind of going to spoil it. There's a planet they end up with on Thor and Hulk where, yeah, there's all these kind of, you know how like there's steampunk? It's like, not like that, but like its own kind of punk, like futuristic sci-fi punk or something, where you've got these bold colors like bright red, green, sort of fluoro colors, and like these kind of patterns of black lines that I'm not good with, I didn't know what the word plaid meant, like that pattern for a skirt or like a shirt or something, until I was in like maybe a couple years ago. I'm bad with fashion. But anyway, yeah, all the spaceships and yeah, that planet just kind of looks kind of dirty, kind of messy. It's like there's these different groups who have weird costumes and things that they wear, but very colorful. And I really like that. It's a movie that has its own style that really seems like this is a cool sort of city, sort of that has its own flavor, its own feel to it. I guess there's other aspects like what do people do, but I just visually having something that's unique I think is very cool. You see this also in like the posters, like for the promotional campaign. There's like, bright green, bright red, bright yellow, these different colors. I like a movie that has style. Let's get into, I like the opening, some of the stuff that Thor does with his swinging hammer. I think this is one of the good things that movies will do, is challenge your characters and take things away from them. Like the fact that he meets his sister, I think Kate Blanchett, I forget her character's name, the evil lady with the black, whatever, do horns come out or some kind of weird pattern? It looks cool, There's something weird about that, like when people wear, like, the Brazilian dancers, these women, they'll only wear like a bikini, but then this big headpiece, like a peacock or something. Yeah, anyway, I guess she's got kind of a bit like a stag. Yeah, when they first meet, which I guess Thor just didn't even know he had a sister, or if he did, he hadn't known about her for a long time. And she just instantly breaks his hammer. But that's kind of cool. It means it challenges us. It's a bit like Fight Club, this kind of anti-consumerism thing where self-destruction is the path to learning yourself. Which is an interesting movie with some interesting ideas. I guess it's exploring nihilism. That's another movie, but yeah, we learn more about who Thor is by having his hammer taken away. But also, we get to really see him use the hammer, maybe to more of an extent than we normally do at the start. And it's very cool that we meet Miss Doctor Strange. I haven't seen that one. Haven't seen Ant-Man either. And he just puts his hand out and you just hear this and he's like, yeah, wait for it. And then here it comes. Which is really disgusting. Like, could you believe, like, I don't care what your power is, you don't go into someone's house and then destroy half of it, like, oh yeah, that's how I roll. Like, no, you gotta pay for all that stuff. I don't know, it's kind of funny, but I'm also like, does he just do this everywhere? Like, I actually have a friend who made a video on YouTube that I think is hilarious, where he dressed up as Spider-Man, and Thor had played a prank on him by putting the hammer in various places, like in the car, and he's trying to drive, he can't move the hammer, or on the toilet, so he can't use the toilet, or just in various places that, obviously only Thor can move the hammer. But anyway, I guess it's kind of cool to get rid of the hammer. But yeah, he Spins it. I really like the Led Zeppelin music. Led Zeppelin's awesome. One of my favorite bands after maybe the Beatles, but right up there. I'm sure you know it. We come from the land of the ice and snow. I know the first 5 words of like a lot of songs. It's very, very cool. I think appropriate. It's the land of ice and snow. It's called the Immigration Song. It sounds like it's referring to, not that I don't know. I could look it up, but because I think Thor is like a Norse god, Norway or Norwegian, or Scandinavian something. I don't know anything about mythology, but so it seems appropriate in that way, like that it's referring to Thor. He's kind of like an immigrant, or he's from that area. Anyway, I do like with these action fantasy movies that we're seeing, they're getting a bit more bold, like this idea of Ragnarok, this big, almost kind of operatic, like it's got the Ride of the Valkyries, literally. I don't think it plays that music, but it's like those horses in slow motion and that woman that's in the movie. That part was very cool, surreal, the just slow motion, they're on the flying horses, I get. Are those unicorns? Or, no, Pegasus? Pegasus is, either way, and they're flying, I don't know. and of course the sister is throwing her stuff. That's a very cool imagery, just slow motion. It looks nice. Reminds me of Zack Snyder's movies, like 300, except I didn't like that. It just seems stupid. And then the colors are messed up. Like with what DC's doing, I don't know. They just look really drab. I've seen Wonder Woman. It was all right. But yeah, just my point is they're going with these big stories, these crazy things. So they're right at the start. There's this like devil guy with big horns and like he's burning fire. It's very cool. But I like how Thor's just kind of casual and indifferent. I think, we like characters like that who are just kind of cool, don't take things too seriously. That's kind of, I don't know if you call that an anti-hero. It reminds me of like Han Solo or Indiana Jones, where they get themselves into trouble. James Bond to some degree. And they're just human, but they just always win. And it's just fun. It's just fun to see them easily beat the bad guys, even though they really shouldn't have won at all. The comedy, I think, is very good. I do agree with my brother. Mark Ruffalo was like, not necessarily bad, but not as... It was like he wasn't as into it, in my opinion. I think Chris Hemmings... what is his name? Is it Hemingsworth? I'm thinking Hemingsway, like Ernest Hemingsway. Hemingsworth sounds very dignified to me. Very British, but I think he's Aussie. Yeah, I think he's a good actor. He's got the physique for it. I think sometimes that aspect doesn't get as much respect as it should. I mean, because that's part of acting, is like being the character. So if you can have that, like put that much effort and time into building your body into that form, but then also be able to have the character, be able to deliver funny lines well. I think he's good. There's this other woman who's, I just remember her like kind of flying and being like, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but she has a lot of attitude. I don't know if her acting is great. I liked her though generally. It was funny, a lot of the stuff with Hulk getting angry and he was kind of friends with her. I think I've been a few weeks since I saw it, but I thought, yeah, overall the comedy was done really well. I also like Jeff Goldblum. I just think he's funny. He reminds me a bit of Christopher Walken, not because they're the same, but because they just have this unique way of talking that's just, like, they don't even care about normal grammar and ways that people talk. They talk fine, but it's just, they have their own unique quirks that I can't impersonate. But yeah, there's moments that are, I think, deliberately kind of awkward but funny at the same time. I think juxtaposition is part of, a big part of comedy. So, for example, if your life's in danger, but someone decides, they're kind of casually talking about it. Oh, should we, kill it? That's kind of funny. One thing that's weird is seeing Loki team up with Thor. Like, this reminds me of Darth Vader. The whole, you can kill stormtroopers, like, no one minds. But when it comes to Return of the Jedi, it's like, it's my dad. Like, I just think there's still good in him. It's all about redemption. Never mind all the people he's force choked and killed along the way or intimidated. And similarly, in the Avengers, wasn't Loki the bad guy? Didn't he try to take over Earth? Or have we just forgiven him for it? Did he do some time? I haven't seen Thor 2, so maybe that answers some of the questions. It was funny near the start when Matt Damon has a cameo as Loki, as kind of acting as him. I like cameos like that. I like when famous actors or celebrities in general can make fun of themselves. That's that's enjoyable, I think. I think Kate Blanchett is really good as the bad guy. She just has this confidence, and again, I forget the politics, but she's kind of, I don't completely disagree with some of what she's saying, because I think some people think, oh, we want peace. Like, yeah, everyone wants peace, but as a result, some people decide we shouldn't spend money on the military, should have a small military. But that doesn't, you don't always have a choice what dictators will do in other countries. You often, if you're a free country, you need a military. I feel like the Allies figured that out too late in World War II, deciding in the 20s and 30s, they're like, oh, we're not going to have a war. No more war, we're going to have peace. But that you can't control what Hitler does or what Stalin does or what Mussolini did, but mainly Hitler instigated the war, and then eventually like, okay, well, now we have to go to war, and aren't we glad we spent no money or not that much money on our militaries? I don't know the details, but anyway, her attitude that you have to go out and fight. I think if she wanted conquest, though, she wanted to go out and take over everything, that's different. But her idea of actually getting things done, I think, is fine. And then it is tricky. Like, what about if you want to take over a communist country in order to try to put it a democracy? That's the tricky thing. I don't think you should. I think you should mind your own business. But anyway, it's one of those things where the villain, she's evil, you dislike her, but you can sort of feel like, okay, she's not like just insane. She's got some kind of weird vision that's kind of extreme. It's always, oh, once I take over everything will be great. And I kind of like how Scourge, this guy, is kind of smart enough, he just doesn't really act, and then he kind of teams up with her, and then I guess turns back to good at the end as well. I think he's very understandable. Like, I kind of would like to think I'm the kind of person who would stand up to her and die fighting her, but I just think part of me would be like, just try not to take sides, and look, if I become an assistant to her just to keep myself alive, while maybe a bit like Oskar Schindler trying to sabotage a bit, it's like he doesn't want his factories to ever produce a shell or a bullet that could actually kill someone. That might be alright. But yeah, so I think he's a very human character, Scourge. I also really like this rock guy who kind of had a New Zealand accent. I don't know if I can do it very well, because I guess if you're American, then Australian and New Zealand will sound similar, but they sound completely different to us. I'm Aussie. I should have an Australian accent. It's just not very strong. I think I just don't speak properly. That rock guy was pretty funny. There's a part where he refers to like a fork, a three-pronged fork thing, and he said, "Oh, I don't know what you'd use that for. Maybe if you had three vampires, you could stab them." That's got to be a reference to a movie called What We Do in the Shadows, which was also directed by Taika Waititi, who directed this. Which, by the way, if anyone's trying to work out, how come Ragnarok is so good, it's because of the director. You just have to get a director that's good. Now he's, I think, mostly done like comedies, dramas, but he's a director that's got energy, that's got vision. That you just need an interesting director. That's why I was so excited when Denis Villeneuve got to direct Blade Runner 2049. I couldn't care less that they were rebooting or remaking or whatever Blade Runner. Who cares? They're doing that with everything. But then I found out, oh, it's that guy, Villeneuve. He's made some other very good movies. About a month ago, I kind of really got into them and watched a bunch. And once I found out, I was excited. And he's going to make Dune next, so that's going to be super cool. But yeah, just that's why I'm excited about Avengers Infinity War. I think 1 and 2, I guess there's 2 parts, I think. Because it's directed by the brothers that made Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Civil War, which were 2 of the other really good Marvel movies. Ragnarok would be up there. It's probably in the top, along with maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, those other 2 Captain America parts 2 and 3. I don't really like the Iron Man ones so much, for some reason. Robert Downey Jr. is cool, but like, just the story, the villains, I didn't like them much, the way they're made. Jon Favreau, I don't know how you say his name, Jon Favreau. His movies, I think, are alright, but I didn't like them that much. So yeah, I liked how Thor lost his hammer and then he's being tested and he goes blind in an eye, and it's so it's like he's had a makeover. He doesn't have a hammer anymore. Lose the hammer. Now he's got a cool eye patch, and he's the god of thunder. I like that. There was a line that I predicted when Odin, his dad, and Sir Anthony Hopkins said, like, "You're not as strong as me. You're stronger." Something like that. I was like, I knew what he was going to say. I predicted it, but it's kind of cool that he has that flashback, like that when you're dying or you're in that moment, you're getting killed by the bad guy. You just have that flashback to some moment, some key core little thing. Again, a bit like Fight Club, peeling back the layers until you got that who you really are, and then it lets out this huge amount of energy. With Wonder Woman, that kind of happened. She had like this power within, just exploding. It's like it's, your destiny. I like that kind of thing. That's what movies try to do, I think. They kind of try to build up to a single moment, the climax, and then whether there's like a bit of resolution. It was fun seeing Thor fight Hulk in the Gladiator, whatever, where they're forced to fight. That was really cool. I can't remember that many of the details, but it's really creative when they're able to take two characters. It's like in chess, you often create imbalances, so that the position white will have some advantages in some ways, but black will have other kinds of advantages. Like you might have a slight material advantage, but you've got the initiative, or the other player's got the initiative, or you've got a better structure, but they've got an attack that they can try to go for. So in the case of Hulk and Thor, you've got, I don't know, Hulk is big and strong, but Thor's got, electric powers. You might say Hulk was stronger, but Thor was able to bring out something within to have a better chance. It's funny how they have that rapport between them, that, I won the battle because I guess Hulk doesn't remember, or Mark Ruffalo doesn't remember. It just reminds me, there's a saying about men and women that men insult each other, but they don't mean it. Women compliment each other, they also don't mean it. I feel like it really summarizes how men get along and how women get along. Which is that the ultimate in male friendship is that you just completely tease each other and make fun of each other and pick on each other all the time. But yeah, it's all playful. It's all, it's fun. Because it's like this absolute trust. Actually, I remember Adam Carolla said recently in an interview with Dave Rubin, he said how he can joke about things like racism and sexism because he knows he's not actually like that. And I think that's the thing. When you know someone well, you can insult them because you know each other well enough that you're not actually picking on each other. But anyway, yeah, I like that rapport that exists, and even some of it develops with Thor and Loki. The whole I'm not going to do the, what is it? Get help. We need help. Just to trick people. It's a funny concept. I do like the overall structure of the story as well. The way they kind of very quickly get beaten by their sister, who then kind of takes over, and the group is going to hiding. I forget what the name of the people are, but I guess Thor's people, I don't even know who they are. Are they gods? Are all of them gods, or is it just a group of people? But it was like, I like the theme that it's not the place, it's the people, and if the people need to move at some point, they need to move. But yeah, having Thor and Hulk kind of get challenged, get thrown into some dodgy place. It's got some similarities to Star Wars, where they end up in I don't know. In Star Wars, I guess they end up in the compost thing and they're getting crushed, and they've got to kind of work their way up and out. So I kind of like that. And there's some very cool flying, shooting stuff that I wouldn't say is brilliant, but overall very cool, very exciting, entertaining, and it's got some interesting 80s synth sort of sounding music, which I thought was cool. So that's kind of what I like about it. Its attitude, it's like loud and colourful, and it's kind of funny, in a stupid way, but also creative. And a good story that challenges the characters. More like that would be great. So I really hope they get Taika Waititi to direct some other movies and maybe learn from it. Get someone who's consistently made good movies. Not necessarily action, not necessarily any particular genre, but good movies. And then give them, if they're a bit like Sam Raimi with the Spider-Man movies, at least the first two. Who else? Tim Burton with Batman. Christopher Nolan with Batman again later. Every single case was people who had made quite a few good movies or showed that they were decent filmmakers who hadn't really made that kind of movie but they brought something interesting to superhero movies. So anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I give it maybe an 8 out of 10. Like, it's solid. It's good. I wouldn't even mind seeing it again at some point, just because of the visuals, the action, the excitement, and the comedy that's done well. Yeah, it's one of the best, maybe the 5th or 6th best out of all the Marvel movies. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.